Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Peshawar Model Degree College Online Lecture Room. Dear students, this is Miss Fatima Shakir, and today I am going to teach you something really interesting and besides that different as well. What it is all about, I will be telling you now. Okay, so the poet of this poem is Robert Browning, and the poem is titled as Prospice. Now, what is Prospice? Let's first of all see who Robert Browning is. Okay, so Robert Browning, he is an English poet and a playwright as well. Playwright means someone who writes plays or you could say dramas. And he was a master of writing the dramatic monologue. What is a dramatic monologue? A dramatic monologue is something where a person, he is having a dialogue with himself, okay? So he is one of the most important, you could say, poet of the Victorian era. Besides this, he is having irony, humor, and you could say the best vocabulary and syntax in his poems as well. Okay, so now coming to the title, what is Prospice? Prospice, it's actually a Latin word and it means to look forward, meaning to wait for something. So you can see that, as I mentioned before, this is a dramatic monologue. So in dramatic monologue, there is a person who is having a dialogue with himself. And this is a poem in which the writer or the poet is trying to tell us that he is having a dialogue with himself. And what is that dialogue all about? Obviously, it's about something really very different. Very few people are there who write about such topics. So he mentions about death over here. And he says that death is something which makes us afraid. We are really terrified when we hear something about dying or about death. But he says that I am the special one, I am the only one who is looking forward, meaning who is waiting joyfully in order to die. Why? Because I believe that I am going to have a reunion with my wife. This shows the love for his wife. It shows that his wife had died in 1861, so that's why this poem is a tribute to her memory, okay? Right, so this poem, it is a poem in which the dying man, we can see that there is a person who is feeling as if he is dying and he is speaking throughout the poem and he is not speaking with us, rather he is having a conversation with himself, okay? So the style of the poem is really simple. Okay, this is a definition for a dramatic monologue. You can just copy it from here. Now, we can see that this is a poem in which we can see the intensity of love. And that love is obviously for his beloved wife. He feels that one should be courageous, one should be hopeful, one should be determined while if he faces death in his life. Because the reason is we are really negative about death. And he says that we believe that after death there is no, we people have this idea that there is, being a Muslim, we have an idea of the doomsday, mean the life hereafter. But he believes that besides that doomsday, there is something else as well. And what that something else is? He believes that he is going to have, as I mentioned before, a reunion with his wife. Now, this poem was published in a dramatic persona in 1864, okay? Right, so it has been regarded as one of the most inspiring poem, especially on the subject of death. And this man believes that he sees a light, and that light, according to him, is a light of God. And he believes that with the help of this light, he can reunite with the one he loves. Okay. So, in the beginning of the poem, the first word is fear death. And then there is a question mark. He asks us, do you think I am afraid of death? He's saying, no, obviously I am not. Although, when a person is dying, he feels suffocation in his throat. He feels heaviness. He feels, or he can just witness everything that is blurred. And he is saying that a person feels numbness and his body becomes cold. These are all the situations which a dying person can observe. So he says that while I am about to die, I feel everything, every feeling. But still, he's saying, I am not afraid of death. And he says that these symptoms of death, they cannot terrify him. He's saying, obviously, when I am feeling suffocation in my throat, so obviously it's hard to breathe. And he's saying, obviously, I feel as if I'm about to fall down, so my vision is also blurred. But he is saying that being a strong man, this is my duty and this is my right in order to bear the pains at the time of death. Okay, so this was all about the first 2 to 3 lines. Now he mentions in the very next line, and he says that death should take me as a courageous man. Death should not think that I am a coward person. He says this thing because he says that throughout my life I had just struggled with difficulties of life. So death is nothing to me. It's just the same. I'm taking death just in the same manner as I used to take the difficulties of life. And he believes that he has been the fighter throughout his life. He also believes that this would be the last battle that he would be considering in his life with what? Obviously with death. And he says that this would be the final battle, but this is going to be the best battle. Why? Because according to him, he believes that he is going to reach the kingdom of God and meet his beloved wife. You can see there are two things that he is time and again discussing. First of all, it's about reaching the kingdom of God. And second one, it is all about meeting his wife. Now he says that you can see here he mentions death in a visible form. He says that I can find him. I can just see, and it's visible to me. It seems as if it is standing in front of me. And he says that this is also nothing that is going to terrify me. See, when you have an idea that there is something that is present, someone tells you, and you just at once, you just turn and you're like, what? How is this possible? And you see something, supernatural. So he is believing that obviously you cannot see death, but he says obviously that he sees death in the form of a man, yet he is not afraid. And he's saying that we ordinary people, we should derive inspiration from such brave people, and we should meet death bravely and cheerfully like everyone else. Everyone else means the special ones, like him, they face death. And he says that even we can overcome this fear in 1 minute as well. Okay, so as he mentioned that I see a light, I see the light of God, and because of this I believe that I am going to meet my beloved wife. So he says that it is something that I am taking death as an enemy. Obviously everyone else takes death as an enemy. I am also taking death as an enemy, but I am not going to be afraid of it. Time and again I'm repeating these things because this is the main, you could say, thing that is added in this poem in order to denote this feeling to us that there are very, very few people who are literally afraid of dying, right? Okay, now coming to the next thing he mentions is, he says that everything happens with a special cause, and he believes that all of this, that the suffering that he has, you could say, witnessed and everything, he's happy, he's optimistic over here that okay, fine, halas, I'm gonna, be, you could say, free from all those things. Then he says that he believes that when he dies, so he is going to find inner peace and joy as well. And he says that actually every one of us should be as optimistic as I am. Okay, now coming to the next thing which he says that I really witness the circumstances that are, you could say, according to some people abnormal, but according to me they are normal, because I find that a person, he should have control over everything, right? Dear students, it is a very interesting point in this poem where he says that I would hate that death bandaged my eyes and forbore and bade me creep past. Creep means to move slowly. He's saying that I do not want that death should come silently and it tie a bandage over my eyes and it just take me silently. No, he is saying the heroes of old, the people of old time, when they were daring enough, So when they were not afraid of dying, I also do not want to die. And he says that this is just because I want to suffer the main pain as well. I also want to, you could say, return something to death. I want to show to it that I am also related to the ones who used to sacrifice their life. Now, here you can also have this idea. I'm sure you must be having this thing in your mind that poetry is just open to us. You can have different ideas, different things in your mind, and different interpretations as well. So something is coming to my mind related to this line. It is all about when he says that I am not afraid as the old people used to be, courageous. I am just like them. So this thing is just hitting me. It is showing us that he is feeling this thing in his society as well. That now the people are no more patriotic. Now the people are no more ready to die. Now the people are no more ready to sacrifice their lives. Okay? In short, this poem is a great inspiration for, you could say, all human beings in this world, and it teaches us how to be optimistic in life. Okay, so this was all about the poem that is titled as Prospice, and I hope you must be aware of the term what prospice means. Okay, there is a simple assignment for you. The question is, what is the attitude of poet towards fear, and what is that fear? And this is repeated time and again in the lecture and in the poem as well. And whom he wishes to meet, and why, and where. Isn't it an interesting poem? Okay, so this was all about it. Thank you so much.